It has become a common theme on my videos that I start them by saying, I'm not sure if I wanted to post this or not. And the reality is that this is a video about women and why we tend to have more ailments than men. I'm not going to get into the whole women are not believed. That's a subject for another day. But the reason why I decided to start posting on this channel right now, and I'm talking about this particular, I guess I'm going to call it a list because I'm going to put these on a specific list, is because I'm running on a theory. Now, let me start by saying that one of the most interesting things that happens when you're looking online is that you find out things that you're wondering if they're true or not. And if you're like me, before you even retweet certain things or repost certain things, you will go online and try to find out if the information is true because you've been burned so many times before. So when I saw a post on either TikTok or Instagram saying that there have been a link established between autoimmune diseases in women and childhood trauma or PTSD, I went and checked. And sure enough, something that I discovered was that women are at higher risk of developing many things because of either childhood trauma or PTSD. Now, before you all think that I'm about to sit here and give you a tale of woe how bad my parents are, let me start by saying that that is not the case. My parents were very good parents. My dad was a little helicoptery, if you want to know the truth. He was a little too, God, even as an adult, he would like try to steer the ship, if you know what I mean. But the thing is that they were really good parents in the sense that they took very good care of us. They let us have a childhood, which is something that I feel sorry for millennials and everybody under them because they don't have a childhood like we had a childhood. And it's not even because of the laws, the helmet laws or anything like that. It's just reality and the way the world works. It's a lot different than it was when we were kids. However, I did have something. It was a medical condition that had to deal with my stomach, which ironically kind of disappeared in my teenage years and came back around my 30s, and it became known now as IBS. And ironically for me, what was medical establishment trying to find out what was wrong with me, in my opinion, has made it so that I have certain ailments nowadays. That's the PTSD that I have to deal with. As a teenager and later on as a young adult, I also had several experiences in my life with men that are probably the reason why I always tell everybody that every woman that you've ever met has been either harassed or assaulted in some way in her life. And so that caused a lot of PTSD. And I dealt with some of it, but I don't think I ever dealt with all of it. And you add to that a lot of other things that happened in my early teens. In my mid-teens to all the way to my 30s. And yeah, I have been through a lot, and I don't think I've healed from all of it. And so when I saw this post about how your PTSD or your childhood trauma might have something to do with your ailments, I started looking at the ailments that I am concerned about or living with, and that would be specifically IBS and dementia, because if you don't know, my mother passed away from complications from dementia. And sure enough, there is a connection. So then I decided to look, because the point of the post was the autoimmune in women. And I started looking at how many times more are women diagnosed with either IBS or Alzheimer's, which is what my mother had. And sure enough, both conditions are about 2/3 of the sufferers are women. Now, I would also like to bring up the fact that ailments like fibromyalgia, IBS, and others are the kinds of ailments that are usually diagnosed by exclusion of symptoms. Right now, there are tests that are being tested to see if they work all the time to determine if you have any of these diseases. But for the most part, you basically have to exclude things in order to decide if you have one of these ailments or not. Because my flapping gums and a bad test is not enough. And I have always had a theory that all these ailments have something to do with, okay, let me say it this way. I used to tell people all the time that IBS was in my head, but not the way they thought. And what I meant by that was that it was not something that I was hypochondriac, that I was making it up, so much as the health, my mental health was directly related to my IBS, and maybe even to my mother's Alzheimer's. My mother had IBS when she was younger. So, what do I mean by that? I mean that if I am living through anxiety or depression, I can guarantee you that I'm going to have an IBS flare up. Like right now, we have a situation happening on Tuesday, and I've been sick all day. So I know for a fact. And before you tell me, well, you're causing it to yourself. No, even when I'm not paying attention, there are certain things that trigger it that I can absolutely tell you that I didn't have enough time to think about it and I got it. And I'm going to give you a recent example. There was something going on. For those of you who don't know, my husband was part of a layoff in January. And I was too busy trying to figure out how we were going to pay the bills to concentrate on my mental health. Until I got a flare up and I realized that my mental health was in the gutter. So no, it's not me making myself get sick so much as it's as soon as it starts taking a dip, I know it's going to happen. And so one of the things that I realize is that I am not the kind of person that will sit in front of a doctor and talk of woe is me, because I just don't I don't like it, and I don't have the funds to do it. I mean, I don't know if you know this, but most psychological treatments are not covered by your insurance. They might cover 5 sessions depending on your job, on your company, and then you're on your own, and they're not covered by insurance, so you have to pay most of it, and it could be anywhere from $50 to $300 per visit. If you have to do that once a week, that means that you are pretty much working to pay for your treatment, and I just can't afford that. So what options do I have? Well, I started thinking about how talking about things makes you feel better, and how every time I unburden myself of certain things, I feel better. But more importantly, I started thinking maybe if I can tell people how I feel or how I act in certain circumstances as a Gen X, maybe I will help somebody else. And in the process of saying it and helping somebody else, we will both feel better. And that's why I'm here. I'm hoping that in the next few weeks you watch this vlog, whether it's because you have IBS or because you're terrified that you're going to get Alzheimer's, or because you just want to let it out and you don't have anybody to let it out with. And you'll come here and you'll find we can build a community of people who are going through it and living through it and trying very hard not to let the world squishes into oblivion. And yes, I in case you didn't know, I do stutter. I don't know if it's going to work or not. I'm hoping it does, because there are times when I'm really happy and I don't have anybody to talk to because my husband's at work, my daughter's at work, or whatever. And by the time that they get home, I'm really not in the mood to talk. And sometimes I just want to share something I've learned about the way I'm treating the conditions I have in my life. Like right now, I have a leg that is giving me hell, and I'm not doing very well with that. But little by little, every little thing that happens, and I'm going to come and say it here now. For those of you who are keeping track, this is going to have a day delay because I'm going to post it on Patreon first, and then I'm going to post it on the channel. And I realized that Patreons pay for Metamorphosis Rocks, not for any of my other channels. But I promised them I was going to give them a 1 day up. So if you're watching this, today is Sunday, May 24th. So you're getting it a day delayed. If you have any questions or any comments to add, please let me know. I am an open book about both IBS and my lived experience with my mother when she had Alzheimer's. And if I don't know, I'll try to find out for you as well. Thank you so much for watching, and you have a great day.